Hello YouTube land, my name is Kestalkayden, and today we're going to be playing some Path of Exile. I'm going to be showcasing you a build that I have tried a few times, and it's called Saqawal's Tornado. Not Tornado Shot, but Tornado. Last league, kind of near the end, I tried a chieftain variant, and I almost made a video on it, but it didn't quite feel as good, so one of the things that I want to do this league specifically was focus on a poison assassin variant. There's a crit version of it, but it's a little bit higher budget, so I kind of want to avoid it, and this is just the base assassin variant. Mind you, it does have crit in it, but it doesn't focus on crit. This thing's right at level 96. I have gone through a large chunk of the Alice. I have not done Series 8 yet, but I've been focusing mostly on heists. This build has done Uber Elder, it has done Shaper, it has done Shaper Guardians, all deathless. So, let's just jump right in first. I'm going to be doing my mapping setup, and then near the boss I'll switch over to my bossing setup, which is literally just a gem swap. So I just made sure that all this was green at first. I then did a Varici color thing in Syndicate, and voila, I have a white socket. That's all that you need for this, and I'll go over all of this afterwards. Now, this isn't fully min-maxed. This is 9% when it should be 10%. This is 8% when it should be 10%. This is minus 1.87 when it could be minus 1.97, and all of that together would probably equal about an extra 20 to 30% damage. And in the section down below, along the timestamp, I'm going to be marking down different sections. I'll explain more of that on the path of building. Right now, I just kind of want to get into a map and showcase, hey, this thing can do damage. So we're just going to be doing a quick Basilica. I'm just going to select a random map mod. And we can get started on that. Wow, I have over 1,000 chisels. I need to sell those again. Generally, I sell things in bulk once I get over a certain amount, but I've been pretty bad with that. Again, I've been doing a lot of Heist. Heist has been really fun for me this league. I haven't run into many issues that other people have been talking about, but yeah. By the way, this build is basically a white noise generator, as you'll see, starting right now. No active ability other than trying to make sure that your Withering Step is up at any given time. It's already starting to kill things. And your Lightning Warp, and then you have a Portal, which you don't really need, and I'll go over all of that after this. So, literally melting them with poison. Now, the downside with the mapping setup, which is at least partially fixed with the bossing setup, which you can do for beefier maps, is the fact that with the mapping setup, you don't really see
a moment to catch my
like volatiles or bloodlines or anything like that. So that's the one thing to be careful about. For newer players, this might not be the build for you. For veteran players, this might not be for the build for you. But you know what? It does the job. It melted Series 6 phases pretty quickly, and literally is just a walking simulator, and make sure that your flasks are up and that you're, withering on cooldown. For extra deeps, all you gotta do is use your wither totem, which you have. Shore map. There you go, you can kind of see the wither totem doing its thing through the clouds. And for the last half, I'm just going to switch into this. You realistically don't need it. I usually do bosses with just the mapping setup, but you'll see that now the clouds are a little bit more condensed. They don't last as long, so it doesn't look like they're lasting as long, but they're there. For bossing setup, you're basically doing a lot more damage. I think on my path of building, it's like 250k per poison, which you poison at least 40 at a time, up until 400 something k. And once I'm in the path of building, I'll show you all of that. But as I said, with this, you could at least see volatiles coming from like a decent, decent distance away. Anyhow, let's just quickly do this. So, where are you? Here you are. Aw, come on, man.
Burn!
Burn! Yeah, yeah.
I am the Emperor!
I haven't really noticed any issues with bossing on this. It's literally just doing the same thing over and over, and when you think you're at a safe spot, you just kind of lightning warp away, just to reset your withering. Rise. Mew. Okay. Yeah, so poisons last a while, so you don't even have to be on the screen, and you'll eventually just end up killing it. So that's why I'm just kind of running around like a dum-dum. I am the storm. Whoop. Whoop. Whoop, whoop. So the one thing that I really like about this build is Lightning Warp is extremely fast. Like, when I say extremely fast, I mean extremely fast. And Lightning Warp is a good way for me to reset my Withering, just so I can reapply it after like maybe a second and a half. Rise! I'll stay out of that. I'll stay out of that range. Ooh, I had a bit of a latency spike there. That's interesting. It's like the latency graph tried to slap me. Looks like a hand. So with the bossing setup, you won't really feel too much of a difference on fights like this, but for fights like Cirrus, you definitely see the difference. When I was doing Cirrus 6, mapping it felt good, but it didn't really do much because it was also spread out. But with switching over to Unbound Ailments, it actually felt much better. Bam. That pretty much just covers the whole arena, and it does tend to shotgun up against a wall, so if you can actually get it like literally right here, that type of damage does shotgun, so it's really nice. Even with Unbound Ailments, etc., it's really nice. Anyway, I think for Heist, I have one more character or rogue to max out at 5, and it's Counter Thom. I haven't really been wanting to do Counter Thom. I've basically just been running Deception, Perception, currency non-stop, which feels really nice. What are these? Agility, perception. Okay, so I actually have to sell off a bunch more too. I'm just gonna put these away. And yeah, so let's go over some of the equipment. Disintegrator, best choice for this build. Now, some people are thinking cold points, some people are thinking obliterations. No, Disintegrator is the way. It's the way. Go for it. And the rest is literally, you don't really have much room. You have one non-unique item, which you should try to stack as much of everything as you can onto it because you need it. For flasks, I have phasing, which obviously helps when withering isn't up. I have Coralitos, which does your bossing deeps, which is great. It's increased duration of poisons during flask effect. That is amazing to have. Witchfire Brew, obvious here. And a series just for the extra physical to extra chaos damage. Plus, chaos resistance is nice, admittedly. It's something that this build does need to kind of focus on. For trinket, I'm literally I haven't actually run into an exalt trinket. I've been focusing, however, I've been focusing on alts trans to chaos, and they've been doing really well. I've funded 4 characters so far this league, so it's nice. It's really nice. Exalt prices not feeling so great, but Vindiri's my dude, and doubling up on chaos every single time feels great. Well, not every single time, but who are we kidding? It's a lot. Anyway, I'm going to be switching over to my other view, which is basically this. Actually, we'll start off here. So as you can see, literally not much room for anything. I could probably increase that, but I like the fact that I can onslaught and blind enemies, which is great for me. Seeing as you have like... Okay, so let's explain Tornado. Tornado is first off socketed over here. For my bossing setup, it's Awaken Unbound. For this, it's mapping. So you have greater multiple projectiles. So basically 5 tornadoes with a cast rate of 2.57. That's pretty damn good. And the more things that you stack, like look at the life regen. It doesn't look great, but when you stack 40 things onto the stuff, it's kind of nice. It's not like 4,000 per second, don't get me wrong, but it definitely feels nice. So let's go into some of the defensives first, and then I'll go into the items. How about that? So evade 64%. Part of that is because we are blinding, so don't let that fool you. We are attack, spell dodge at 59 and 40% respectively. We do wither at 15, although in order to get consistent wither, what I'd want to do, actually let me just switch back over here. So what I'd eventually want to do is try to link this up, but I want to make sure that this would be a blue so I can do a faster casting. Just to get the consistent multiple totems going. It's not really a big thing, so for now I just kept Portal. I honestly don't even really feel the difference. It does damage, right? So I don't have to worry about that necessarily. Life regen is great. Even when I am doing siphoning charges, no endurance charges, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's go into my bossing setup so you can see the difference. Okay, so again, 422 per poison. Again, with 5 projectiles, I can easily get 40 poisons onto a boss or an enemy of any kind just by like wandering around. And poisons last for, I think it's what, 10 seconds? That's a lot of damage per second that can stack over time. And you don't even have to be there for half of it, and you'll just probably kill the boss. It's great for that. And for mapping setup, it's 247 per poison. So overall, not too shabby. And again, going back to this, very, very unique dependent. So a couple things should be glaringly obvious. I have 3 grand spectrums. You need resistances, and this is the cheapest way to get resistances. Now, there is a build that drops down life even more, and you can potentially get all the resistances you need there, and then focus on the critical side. With an explode chest, that's your best in slot dream goal for this build. With resistances, with a high life roll, etc., etc. But it felt like a weird pipe dream that I won't be able to achieve unless I spend 8 hours a day on this game. And this does well. I know I've only done Series 6, so I know I have a lot way to go, but realistically, Series 6 melts, right? I don't have to worry about it. I just kind of like walk around him while he's doing his beams or his die beam, and I've done it deathless multiple times. Anyway, Grand Spectrum Green Nightmare is expensive, so again, well, at least it was when I purchased it. I'm not sure on the market for that right now, and Inertia. So I focused on a cannot be maimed Inertia, although I should have probably tried to focus on Corrupting Blood Inertia. Now, I could probably get a Grand Spectrum with Corrupting Blood that I can replace that with, and some other cool corruptions. I haven't actually bothered doing that yet. So there is improvement for this ability, or for this build. Probably get to, I'd say, almost 500,000 with just the upgrades, which are really nice, with just your 2 rings and your glove. But it'll feel like that much of an upgrade. It won't really show too much on here, but it'll be nice. The reason why I say that is because this is 0.15, this is 0.14. I think that can go down to 0.12, and I know that's not much of a difference per se, but it kind of is if you think about it. Like these numbers, the range between 2.15 and 2 or 0.12 or 0.15, that's a pretty big chunk of extra damage that you can get just by reducing the amount of skill duration. Not to mention having just better equipment, better everything. So for this, for example, it's great. If you don't mind doing the mapping variant, I recommend it because it's literally full screen. It works well in heists, and not much can kill you unless you walk over traps that you can't see, which has happened to me before, so just kind of be careful about that. Overall, though, this build is extremely fun. I haven't died on it too much. I've died to this weird, like, void ball thing that goes at you really slowly that I was just ignoring. In Heist, by the way. And then I did have an issue with Series 6 where I couldn't see out of the maze. So I kind of got a little screwed up in there. But I was doing my mapping setup at the time. Since switching over to bossing setup, I don't think I've had that issue. So just a couple things to keep in mind, basically. And yeah, this is a fun build. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a starter. I did it as a starter, but I also was doing a side character with the wife, so we had that side character to help get the currency I needed to get the changes that I needed to work on this. But yeah, this character was pretty fun, I have to say. Overall, Boat League denied, but Heist has been fun. Again, I think the main issue for me was Gianna. Uh, since the recent patches, Gianna sometimes just kind of derps and stays inside her disguise and doesn't actually open up a door, and then it just borks your whole contract and or Grand Heist. Well, most of your Grand Heist anyway. And yeah, as you can see how fast this is going, this would, again, if you get things min-max, this would go even faster. And every time when this switches back and forth, basically, that's when a tornado happens. And you do it 5 times. So getting more of them out faster, that's what you can aim for. So again, not min-maxed, has a way to go. And then you could even go even further by going the full critical build with explode chest and all that nonsense. But I don't think the build needs it, to be honest. This is one of those special builds that you could just walk around and just pick stuff up for the most part. You do have to, piano flask, keep up your withering step when it's down, so you can reset it by actually lightning warping around. Beyond that, you just kind of wander around, and that's it. If you want to do speed, you just replace this with Quicksilver. Done. Anyway, that's it out of me. In all honesty, it's been a while, but a couple more build videos coming up, and I'm going to be trying to do a lot more YouTube in the future. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I know the current situation with pandemic kind of sucks. 2020 kind of sucks, but that's what we have Path of Exile for. And that's what we have YouTube for. And that's what we have a whole bunch of other things for. So hopefully, yeah, things are okay with you. And yeah, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will reply to pretty much everything. So anyway, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel, leave a like on the video, and don't forget the most important part, have fun.